Davey, the Prime Minister says he understands what it's like to live with people with disabilities. Do you think he really does understand the financial difficulties some of those families face?
Well, I'm not sure. We'll see when we get the details. What I'm alarmed at is that he's created a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear amongst people, not just disabled people, but their carers. If you're caring with someone with severe disabilities, it's the sort of thing that will keep you up at night, worrying about what the Prime Minister and the new government are going to do. And I'm really worried that the devil will be in the detail. We've not seen all that detail yet. Liberal Democrats are quite happy to try to support more people into work if they can work, particularly young people. If we need to give them extra equipment, extra training, health treatment, of course we should all do that. But people who can't work, if you take away their support, they'll just be in poverty, and that's wrong.
You've talked very openly about your own caring responsibilities. Do these changes make you worried for those you love?
Well, I think because my son is very severely disabled, I don't think he's going to be affected. We'll see. But I'm worried about many of the people I know through caring for my son. And I meet lots of other parents and carers who have real challenges. And we're fortunate in many ways, but often their support, their personal independence payment, the PIP, is really all they get. And they really struggle at the moment. So I am deeply worried that when we see the detail, we may see some people who really deserve that support getting it taken away from them.
It's estimated that around 1 million people could be affected by the changes to PIP. Do you think the criteria does need to be tightened?
Well, I'm going to have to look at the detail when it comes forward. My worry is that the assessment process that they have behind this can be very bureaucratic and very unfair. And we'll see whether or not they are really helping people into work through their process or just penalising people. I'm really clear that Liberal Democrats support getting people into work who can work, giving them help to do that. It's quite the right thing to do, whether it's help with their caring, whether it's help with their health or training or special equipment. That's the right thing to do. But penalising people who are severely disabled, that would be wrong.
And do you think this is what's happening here?
Well, this is what I'm actually quite worried about. I don't think we know all the details.
We do know quite a lot of them, though, don't we?
Well, to be fair, we don't. And the devil will be in the detail. What we've heard is that they want to save, £5 billion. There's no clear where that actually money is going to come from. It's not clear who's going to be hit. They haven't published any sort of impact assessment. And that's keeping people awake at night. And as I say, not just disabled people, but their carers, their families, their loved ones, who know they're already struggling to make ends meet. So we do need to make savings. We're really clear about that. But it's the way you make those savings. If you help people into work, that's a different thing from penalising people.
It is clear that the country can't afford the benefits bill that is predicted to hit 100 billion by 2030. You say that there does need to be cuts. Where should those cuts fall then?
Well, the cuts fall by giving people help to get into work. If you help people into work, maybe...
Which is what the government says they're doing.
Well, let's again see. That's what Liberal Democrats support. They give you one example. People who have different conditions of neurodiversity, they've got different issues like ADHD and so on. Often they struggle to get seen in interviews by employers. I'm really keen that we reform those processes, help employers take them on, help them get to those interviews, because they've got a huge amount to give. And if we support people like that, they'll have better lives, and there'll be less money spent on the welfare bill. That's the way to reform it, by really enabling people who can work to work.
You seem to be quite on the same page with the Prime Minister as far as that goes, though.
Well, I want to work with the government and across party. We do need to reduce the welfare bill. We do need to get people who can work into work. It's how you do that. And I'm worried from some things I'm hearing from Number 10 and from the Department of Work and Pensions that it's not about enabling, it's about punishing, and that would be the wrong way of doing it.
Do you think it's right to take away the health uplift part of universal credit for those under 22?
Well, I've got some worries about that proposal. They say they're going to consult on it. So let's look at that consultation paper. I'm not going to prejudge it, but I am really worried that that may well be, for our young people, a step too far. I mean, if some of those people really can't work, that would be just unfair. They'd be pushing them into poverty.
Are the Liberal Democrats likely to vote against this when it comes to a vote, against these changes as a whole?
I generally don't know, because we haven't seen the detail. If it is punishing disabled people for their disabilities, we will vote against that. Where it is helping people into work and supporting them, of course we'll support it.
The government has to find these cuts because of Rachel Reeves' self-imposed fiscal rules. The spring statement is next week. Should they be looking for more cuts, do you think, or should they be looking to relax the fiscal rules?
I think it's important you keep to fiscal rules. It's really important that we repair the damage done to our economy by the Conservatives. The Conservatives left the finances in a total mess. They had undermined credibility in our economy. Liz Truss's policies which crashed the economy were a disaster. We do need to turn the page on that record of the Conservatives. So I support a strong fiscal approach, fiscal rules. Where I differ from the government is how I'd raise the money. So, for example, they're raising the national insurance tax, which is hitting a lot of small businesses, which is undermining growth. It's hitting a lot of health and care providers, which is undermining their ideas of wanting to improve the health service. So we don't support that, and we've got our own alternatives. For example, and we've talked about this for a while, that we need to make the big banks pay more, take them back to the tax position they had before the Conservatives gave the big banks huge tax cuts. We want the social media giants to pay more. We've called for an online gambling tax rise. So we have different approaches which we think would mean you could still invest in health and care, but that's always been our priority, without dragging back the economy, because the economy has to grow, and at the moment it's not growing. And next week we need an emergency growth budget, both to get rid of this job tax and also really show we're going to open negotiations with our European colleagues for a EU-UK customs union to get rid of all the red tape that is stopping growth.